Hey guys.
What's up?
I'm left-handed. Should I be? No, I should be fine.
You need a switch?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Do you need a switch?
I'm feeling good.
All right. Hey everyone. Welcome. This is.
Up?
I'm actually going to do it in Spanish. Hola a todos. Este es nuestro primer podcast con alguien que hable español. Perdón, alguien que hable inglés. Entonces, sí, ahí para que... Bueno, vamos a poner subtítulos igual, pero va a estar un poco diferente. I'm really excited. I was telling them that you're like our first guest that doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
But yeah, it should be a good time. Let's get right into it. So everyone, this is Ethan. He's a really good friend of mine. I'd call him one of my best friends. I'm not sure if he'd do the same.
No, I would. Yeah.
That's a lie.
I can count on one hand all my best friends, so you're in the circle.
My best friend. I'm excited to have you because this is our season 2. I'm not sure if this is going to be
premiere.
I don't know. I was literally just about to say that. I'm not sure if this is like the first one or not.
Quite an honor.
But
we're recording this on June 8th, July 8th.
Yeah, it'll probably be uploaded like in August.
And where are we recording it from?
We are in the United States of America, home of the free refills. This is our first podcast recorded in the States too, so
yeah,
a lot of firsts today.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really excited to be here. So what happened was Ethan came down on a missions trip to Costa Rica,
mm-hmm.
and then we decided to fly back up together. So we've been hanging out for like almost 3 weeks now.
Yeah. The mission trip, and then I had like a week and a half in Costa Rica. Stayed, hung out, got to see Costa Rica. It's freaking beautiful.
Yeah, it was fun.
Gorgeous.
It was fun.
I keep showing pictures of people, and I'm like, it just doesn't work. The pictures don't show you
definitely
the vastness of some of the things. Like everything's so grand.
Yeah, and it's weird because I come here and I'm like, did someone forget to like fix the filter on this place because it's kind of grayish?
It's like Costa Rica was in creative mode.
Yeah, I guess. But so yeah, we've been hanging out for almost 3 weeks. Are you tired of me yet?
No, I don't think I'm tired of you.
He's
There's
lying.
I'm a very serious person, so I'm going to take this question very literally. There's obviously times I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be on my own for a couple minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've had those times, so it's all good.
Okay. Well, Ethan, our second season is about special guests, and so obviously you are our special guest today. So
What an honor.
Glad to have you here. I'm proud of you. I'd love to see what God is doing in your life. But I want to like maybe reverse a bit and ask, like, do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah. You don't.
I
You
didn't
don't.
until you reminded me.
I don't know that you still do. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Was it still 2020?
I don't know. 2021.
Yeah, I don't know the date. It was when Ben Hastings was here.
It was in the chapel, right?
I don't know that he was here yet. Yeah, it was in the chapel. We had what was going
tacos.
on that night? We had Las Brisas. We catered Las Brisas.
I've been there before. It's
Las
pretty good.
Brisas is the spot in Peevely where our church is.
I went there with, do you know who Zach Tatum is?
Yeah, the Tatums?
Yeah. I went there with his whole family. And we're all getting like burritos and quesadillas. And he's like, let me get the ribeye.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
He's pretty down South American.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I asked you if you remember the first time we met because I wanted to do a follow-up question on what were your like first impressions on me.
I thought you were pretty crazy. If you know Dylan in person, he's a pretty he can get a little wild. Yeah. In the mornings, he's pretty quiet.
Oh my gosh! Do not talk to me in the morning. Holy cow!
But he's currently in number 2, but at the time he was number 1 in his class of karate in Costa Rica.
Oh yeah.
in the whole nation.
Stepping
and
it
so
down.
he comes, and I think one of the first things you did was threaten to beat me up.
I did. That was
He
yeah.
did. He said,
Because
I know karate, by the way.
that was the first time I met him, and I'm like, who is this guy? I've never seen him before. He was more shy than he is right now. I don't consider you a shy person.
No,
but at the time,
if I don't know you, I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah. So I kind of tried to start up a conversation with you, I think. And I was like, okay, so this and that. And you were like, yeah, good.
Cool.
But yeah, you're definitely a completely different person now.
Yeah, but I can understand. I mean, you came in and there's this random dude who's like all of a sudden involved with all of your U.S. family, all your people.
I'm like, what?
Here, and I just kind of showed up. I was there. I got really involved in church really quickly. That's part of my story. I didn't know God until 2019, and then you came in 2021, and here I am, really involved at church, and I'm just here everywhere you're at, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. At first, I was like, man, am I gonna like this guy or not? Hey, and now I think I like you more than some people.
Probably need to get defensive about that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I'm super glad we met.
Me too.
I'm glad we're friends. But I wanted to ask you, what was your process like in your walk of, following Jesus?
Like, how did I learn?
Yeah, like, I mean,
you want to start at the beginning, go all the way through?
How did you learn? How did you decide to stay? What got you involved more? Because I know a lot of, like, new Christians want to be a Christian and that's it. They think, okay, I accepted Jesus and I go to church. That's all there is to it. There's a lot
more to it.
And so, like, obviously that's not, you didn't just stick to that. You wanted you wanted more. So what was that like?
There's definitely a lot more to it. So I'll begin with a caution. My story is not the way you should normally go about it. I am a very, very small majority of success here. Don't try to follow in my footsteps. But I am the 1% of people who are a missionary dating success story.
Nice.
When I was in high school, I started dating this girl, and she was the pastor's daughter, one of the pastor's daughters. And she brought me to church. I hated it. I grew up Catholic. And I was still Catholic. Like, I'm a confirmed Catholic and everything. My mom even made me get confirmed, even though I was like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. There was a time in my life I didn't even believe in God at all while I was Catholic. I started dating her, and I don't know what kind of churches y'all have in Costa Rica. I know Dylan knows what we do here, and it's very different from Catholicism. It's definitely a spirit-filled, we call it's a biblical church. Yeah. That's the important part.
Yep.
But like, I went to a youth party is what it was, which is not a good start for a Catholic person. It was the craziest night of the year. It was. I came home and I told my mom it was a Jesus rave, and I said, I'm never going back. I truly did not have a good time. But it was terrible.
Like, if I'm Catholic and I'm, I see all the Catholic things that go on, they're usually, I don't want to, like, trash on Catholics, but
no, please do. We'll trash on Catholics all day.
Oh my gosh.
Just because I was there.
It's usually, like, really boring.
Yeah, it's pretty dead. But it's definitely a traditional church.
So wasn't the Jesus rave like something new and exciting?
I was so uncomfortable. It was not my scene. Like, I remember Angie Hudson. She was like trying to get me to jump during worship. I was like, what are you doing?
No.
Like, I don't even want to be in the room right now. And you're trying to make me jump. I'm in cowboy boots. What are you doing? These steel toes are 4 pounds.
So do you think they were like, okay, so at that time, did you believe in God, or were you just going because,
I'd say I don't know. I don't know that I was in a place where that was something that I had an account of in my mind. Like, it's not something I was thinking about. But after that party that I hated, I started going to the weekends and stuff. I liked those a little better. I stuck around. Slowly, this was the slower development part of my faith. I didn't like it very much, but I kept going, and it got better, and it got better, and it got better. Mm-hmm. And I'm an extremely, extremely fortunate person because her parents, Pastor Sam and Jen, are some of the greatest voices in my life, and they're like spiritual parents to me even still. They are the reason I am where I am today. They helped me learn so much so fast and grow in my own personal relationship with God so quickly. I owe such a debt to them. I couldn't describe it. Do you have people like that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Get people like that if you don't, that
Yeah.
are going to grow you in God and challenge you and correct you and be there for you when you need them, because they're truly the people I'm most thankful for, aside from my parents and God.
Yeah, something I've come to learn with those type of people is, one, you need someone to correct you, because you're not going to correct yourself.
Nope.
You won't see what you're
You're going to be the
failing
last
in.
person to know you have an issue.
Yeah. So, and then another thing is having the posture of accepting that, because if someone starts going on about, hey, kind of like how you do with us, if I was like, well, I mean, no, man, I mean, we're doing pretty good, and, get all defensive, then that'll never help me grow.
Yeah.
And I think if we have someone there that's correcting us in a loving way, because it can also be...
Yeah, there's a harmful correction and a hurtful correction.
Yeah.
It needs to be done properly, but you can't control how somebody's going to correct you. You can only control the posture of your heart.
Yeah. The
And
way you
have
receive
to
it.
have a humble posture of your heart, just in life in general. But when receiving correction, it's extremely important, because pride can creep in really quickly and that sort of thing, and it's going to tear you down. You can't grow if you're not corrected, and you're only going to hurt yourself and others if you're not letting yourself be corrected.
So with your whole story and everything, I have another question. Was there like a deciding moment where you said, okay, I'm going to stick around?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of will contradict myself here. There's always a few, like, God does moments.
Yeah.
He does moments big, and he does say that. I say that with caution, because some people get caught up in moments. It's not always about moments. But there was certainly a moment. I got saved that night that I hated.
Really?
Yeah, I got saved at the Jesus rave because Pastor Ron gave a message and it was really good. And that part I did enjoy. I didn't like to say that I enjoyed it, but I definitely got saved that night. I made the decision to follow God. Okay. That was certainly the night that, I'm like, okay, I definitely believe in God. I kind of believe, I guess the answer to your earlier question, I did believe in God before I went.
Okay.
But that was whenever I began. I wasn't fully committed at that point because I suck, but...
Yeah, I think there's a difference between, believing in God and believing what he has for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't really believe that, he has a plan for you. He has a purpose for you. You can find life in him.
Yeah.
So...
There was additionally another moment later on. I didn't understand. I know more about it now, just having, more experience and looking back in it. Hindsight is 2020. There was another one later on, quite a bit later on, probably about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years later. We were doing a worship night, just like church with a very short message, and we did a lot of worship, and it was amazing. And I serve a lot, so I don't really get to sit in as much as I probably would love to.
Yeah.
But I made sure I was really intentional about getting a spot to sit in on this one. And I did, and I sat in the back alone. There was nobody distracting me. It was excellent, because if I sit in the front, I'll get distracted.
Yeah.
And I still can't describe it. Like, I know what it was. I can't really describe it a ton, but God definitely planted it in my heart. Like, this is where you belong.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is going to be your life. This is where you're going forward. And I know that was him calling me to the house. Like,
Okay.
this is my place to be. You're not going anywhere. And it was also the moment that I feel like God called me into ministry as well.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm going with that. I definitely have a call to ministry, but I cannot stand it the way some people get with their callings into ministry. That was a little too much of an air quote. I'm gonna get heated if I go too far.
That's what we want here. We want.
Okay, I'm just gonna let it go then. I'm actually gonna be very restrained.
I think
God called me into his house. He called me to him, and he called me to my leaders. So
Yeah.
I'm going to serve in his house, serving God through serving my leaders by obeying what they're saying and doing what they need to build the kingdom of God, the Big C church, as well as our local church.
Yeah. I think, like you said, some people get a little caught up in their calling and try to overcomplicate it when it's, basically just summed up for everyone is follow Jesus.
Follow Jesus, love God, love people.
And then, if you're following your pastors that follow Jesus, you're following Jesus. And it's just, that's awesome. I'm glad. That's a question you guys have in your podcast.
Yeah. If you speak English fluently, you can listen to our podcast. It's called the 252 Podcast.
It is great. Go check it out. 252 on Spotify, Apple Music.
Everywhere you can listen. We might be on YouTube by the time this comes out. Who knows?
That would be so cool.
Dylan inspired me.
But who knows? Maybe not. But if they do have YouTube, I will definitely put one of their videos at the end of this one.
One of our videos?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like a whole podcast?
Yeah. So like when you upload a video,
a link. Gotcha.
At the end,
you can tell I don't do YouTube.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. Okay. So going back a little bit, how did you begin to serve? Like, because you just told me, you were usually serving in church, so you never had the chance to, sit in church. But like, it's like, did someone take you under your wings, or did you volunteer?
Absolutely, Pastor Sam did. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a lot. Like, I just hung around with the geeks a lot, and I just ended up there. And I'm like, I'm a helpful person in my nature. It's definitely like my love language is helping people. If anybody does the Enneagram, I'm a 3 or a 2. I kind of get either one, but either way, definitely I draw my value from what's it called? Accomplishments and being able to help people. So everywhere I'm at, that's what I'm trying to do.
I remember you talking about that last year I was here.
Yeah.
And I never heard of it, and I did mine.
It's crazy.
And I don't remember what it was.
Wow.
So, okay, but
I just think personality tests are so helpful in communicating with others.
Yeah.
I find it kind of difficult to communicate well with other people. So knowing what people are and knowing what I am helps me to know what they need to receive and
then also
give.
there's also like love language. So like, do you know what your love language is?
I feel like it's all of them. Apparently, I'm so unaware. So I'm so not self-aware that apparently it's a little more gifts than I thought.
Really?
Yeah. Like Pastor Dan got me this backpack. I've used it every day since for 2 years, and it's like one of my most prized possessions. I will, if something happens to a backpack, I'll cry.
Yeah. So like yeah, because it's personal. It's not just a backpack. There's a meaning to it.
Yeah. It means. I mean, I look at it and I think, okay, somebody believes in me.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know what my love language is.
I give a lot. It's definitely how I show love. I'm probably going to go broke buying gifts for people. Last night, I impulse bought another gift for somebody.
Yeah. You bought one. This won't be out by the
Gable
before.
had his shoes.
Yeah, but you bought Gabriel's shoes, and
No.
it's interesting. That's something I want to bring up because that's really cool. Gabriel never really gets shoes because he's size 13, and the biggest size you can get in Costa Rica is like
He's 14. Size 14.
14. Oh my gosh. Biggest size you can get is probably 11 and a half.
Yeah. It's
If
slim
that.
pickings in Costa Rica.
Oh yeah, they're real short. So if you're looking for short mamacitas, you know where to. I'm just kidding. But I wanted
Pastor
to.
Dylan.
Pastor Dylan. Everyone does that now. Gabriel's
Oh, hey, peep the cards glass. St. Louis, baby.
Shout out, man. That team sucks. That's why I'm wearing a Nationals hat.
It's not true.
Because the Nationals are so bad. They're doing better than the Cardinals right now. Anyway,
Okay.
I wanted to bring that up because it surprised me. Obviously, shoes aren't cheap. And you were just like, I asked you why, and you're like, I just feel like buying shoes for him,
Yeah.
And Madi also asked me about that. She's like, why did he buy Gabriel's shoes? And I'm like, because the people from Grace Life, they have such a giving heart, and that's why they're so blessed. I think that's a big reason on why you're so blessed in this life is because you want to bless others. And maybe, I don't know. I know you don't do it to receive things.
Never. I don't like people knowing about it.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Dylan.
I definitely want to honor you with that, because that's a really cool thing. And I know that God will continue to bless you, because you're not doing it out of, okay, God, I bless people. Now it's time for you to bless me. You're just doing it out of love. And I just think that's awesome,
But God has blessed me so much. I don't give to get blessed. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a selfish, it's not hurting me to give. I mean, sometimes I give too much and it's like, oof, I got to live a little tight, but like it blesses me so much to be able to bless somebody. And sometimes it's things that people need, but a lot of times it's super unnecessary. And I know I hate receiving that because I'm weird about receiving, because I like to give.
Mm-hmm.
But it just, I didn't always have the generous heart. God definitely gave that to me, and Pastor Dan definitely models that for me, and Pastor Sam definitely models that for me. But it's one of the things I'm most thankful for that God has given me, and that He modeled for us. I mean, God so loved the world that He gave.
I think that's also a big culture shock for the people in Costa Rica, because if you don't have much here, they have way less. People are poor there, and it's just absurd that you would buy someone shoes when you could buy your own shoes. Yeah. It's just so foreign to the Costa Rican culture.
One thing that surprised me is when I bought them, you guys were like, or whenever we were looking at the shoes, when Gabe was trying to decide, you were like, $80? I was like, that's cheap.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really is different. That was one of the biggest shocks when I went to Costa Rica. It's legit a third world country.
Yep. That's what it is.
There's no perspective that we can have here. I'm thankful to have that perspective now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, really, it makes me feel bad because it wasn't like that wasn't even my entire part of my budget to bless people.
Yeah.
And so it makes me feel bad that I didn't do more. But also, I mean, if we look in the Bible, who received more in heaven? Who was more obedient? The guy who gave a ton of money, or the woman who gave her penny?
Yeah.
You know Definitely. What I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely a culture thing, not a money thing in Costa Rica.
Yep.
So it's a heart posture. It's not an income posture. It's a heart posture.
Yep.
To give what you are able to. It's a generosity thing. It's not something you have to do, but that's kind of where the blessing comes.
I think it's also, not just in Costa Rica, it's a Latin American thing, because Costa Rica in Central America is one of the most developed countries there.
Yeah.
And you've been there, and you can only imagine what the other countries are like.
Yeah.
Like we get a lot of Nicaraguans.
I did see a lot of immigrants.
And so we're also getting people from Venezuela, and Nicaraguans have such a big me mindset that, we work with a lot of squatters areas where there's Nicaraguan people based, and it's such a me mindset. It's like, okay, give me, help me, serve me.
Yeah.
And we really do try to change that mindset that, you can also give. It's not all just about you receiving, and you don't give if you have an abundance of things. You give because you're giving with your heart. And if it's not with your heart, if you're like, dang, you guys are telling me to give, then that doesn't work.
Yeah. God doesn't receive a tithe that you gave begrudgingly the same He receives a tithe that you gave excitedly. I'm not going to have the right vocab until afterward. It's very annoying.
It's okay. I ain't...
Okay, whatever. That's true. I can see what you're saying, but also like we went up to Talamanca for the missions trip into the Talamanca Mountains, and they are not like that up there. I think it's definitely a learned culture. Like it's happened recently over time, and their culture was protected up there. They're more isolated, but like we went up into Talamanca and we're up there to serve these people, and they unload the truck for us, and they're trying to walk all our supplies to the church.
Yeah.
And they're trying to help serve food at night. I'm like, no, get out of here. We're cooking for you. Go watch the movie, man. Just relax for a minute. Or VeggieTales. We didn't get movies this time.
Yeah, VeggieTales is awesome though.
I couldn't understand a word of it.
But you know what's cool is that they always want to give us stuff. It's because they're so thankful. They have close to nothing.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to send us home with stuff. Like every time we go up into their homes, they want to send us.
They give you corn this time?
Corn. They want to give us plantains. They want to give us bananas.
They did give us some bananas.
Anything they could give us, they will. Because they don't have any other way of showing their gratitude. You know, you saw how they were. Most of them were really, quiet and reserved. But it's so cool because, like I said, they don't have anything. And literally one time we went and they gave us their chickens. So
Live chickens?
Yeah. So that's what started our whole...
Oh, it's the chickens in your yard.
Yeah. That's what started our whole chicken coop thing. Like we went there and they gave us one. Then we went back and they gave us another one. And we just built a...
So do you have to talk to them in their language so they understand? Talk
the
to
chickens?
the chickens in their language.
Bashkute. That means come here in Kawekar.
What's Benga? Is Benga brother?
Benga is Spanish for come here.
Well, I thought it was brother in theirs. Maybe it was something else.
Hermano.
No, in theirs.
Chega.
Sorry. I don't know either one, so I'm going to get a lot of words confused.
Chega.
Costa Rican dap. Little plug.
Oh, yeah.
Learned that in Costa Rica. Yep. This is how we do it in the States. I like the Tico one better.
100%.
It's way better.
Last year when I came to youth camp, I would do that a lot to kids.
Yeah.
And they would grab onto my fingers. I'm like, what are you
doing?
What
are you doing? Why are you trying to hold my hand
so
right now?
I taught them how to, slap and knuckle. But
changing the culture.
It's all been a good time. Last year in camp, you at Talamanca. But I'm like I said at the beginning, I'm really happy with what God is doing in your life, especially because I've seen it was 100% probability that this would happen until I met you, which is if a couple is formed in church and they split up, one of the two will always leave the church. Not because of the church, but because
it's weird.
It gets awkward. It gets uncomfortable because usually one of the two is closer to the church than the other one. So, I mean, I've seen it happen 100% of the times. They break up. One leaves the church because of how weird it is. And imagine if you would have done that, where you would be in your life right now if you would have done that.
Because if I were to leave the church, I'm leaving a lot of leaders behind as well.
Yeah, you're not just.
It's that's not leaving my relationship with God, but that's leaving a lot of people that God's placed in my life. But I don't think that was ever an option. A lot of people asked me if that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But that just wasn't something I would. In my mind, it's not a possibility to leave my church. That's my home. That's my family. That's where God called me to be.
But what a weird question to ask. So, are you gonna leave church?
Well, that's not how they pose the question. Okay. It's just like,
what are you gonna do now? Type thing.
Yeah, are you gonna stay? And God raised us to stay through hard times.
Yep.
I'm not saying that it's always the right move to stay where you're at. If somebody's hurt you or something, but
if God has planted you somewhere,
you don't want to uproot yourself.
There's times where it'll be difficult to stay. I'm not sure if you had that feeling, but sometimes God places you in a place where there's a lot of wind, and you have to make sure that your roots are deep into the ground and your firm basement.
Christ is my firm basement.
Your firm foundation. That's a shout out to Guti. Well, do you want to tell that story or?
I'll give a brief one.
Okay.
He was preaching. This is the first time I was at Epicentro.
Oh yeah.
He was preaching, and Dylan was translating into English because we had a lot of people who spoke English, but for some reason Guti in his mind was preaching in English
That's
and
so
translating
weird.
to Spanish, so Dylan could translate back to English. So halfway through sentences, he would switch to English, and Dylan would have to switch to Spanish all of a sudden. But there was one time he was trying to say Christ is my firm foundation, and because he was so mixed up with his languages,
he translated
he
3
said
times.
Christ is my firm basement.
Yeah.
He's my firm basement.
It's so funny.
It was hilarious.
But yeah, going back, we have to make sure that, we know our place. We know that God has placed us there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes it may be hard, but you just got to stick to it, and God will
it
handle
definitely
the
gets
rest.
hard. Yeah. But he's in the center of the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it says it in the Psalms, planted in the house of the Lord, we will flourish in the courts of our God. And have you ever heard the analogy? I love this one. You've probably heard it. Everybody's probably heard it. But like you build it they built like a terrarium. Like it's like an ecosystem that's isolated within a building.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like made to flourish. And it works perfectly. But when the trees get to maturity, they just fall and die because there was no wind. They didn't develop a strong root system.
Yeah.
And it sucks, and it's really hard to stay sometimes. And I've been there. It's really, really difficult sometimes. But that's God growing your root system. That's God making you so much stronger.
Yep, 100%. And if you're not, so 2 weeks before you guys came to Costa Rica, there was like tons of winds, and in places that usually didn't really receive winds.
Yeah.
So there was an incident where a tree fell on this 4-year-old kid and killed him. Her mom was picking her up from school, and the tree just fell. And you can see when it's on the ground, there's no roots. It's just kind of just popped off the dirt. And it was so sad to see. And everyone's like, okay, who's held accountable about this? Is it the government? Is it the town? Like, what are we supposed to do? And it's because that tree wasn't used to receiving winds, wasn't used to being moved around, that it just totally collapsed. And it didn't just affect the tree, it affected its surroundings too.
Yeah. if you're going to fall, you're probably taking people with you.
Yeah, that was maybe
it's a tragic story.
A little
It's
dark.
pretty heavy.
But yeah, it was really
Way to bring
sad.
the mood up, Dylan.
I'm sorry. We should start over.
Yep. Hey
But
guys, welcome to the World Shakers podcast.
Hey everyone, this is our first. No, there's no way we're starting over.
No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, man, I think this has been a very good conversation. How long have we been going? 35 minutes. That was actually not bad.
No,
It's
we got a few cuts in there. We didn't get our grimace shakes.
Yeah, I think I heard a door open, but we were
Probably
supposed to
everything. Sorry, guys.
We were supposed to have grimace shakes, but if not, we'll just play a clip at the end with us happy with our grimace shakes.
Yeah.
But man, Ethan, I'm thankful for your relationship. I'm glad you're my friend. I thank God for you. I love you, and I'm glad you're sticking to it, man, because it's not easy. I know it's not. I've never,
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Amen.
It's not hard.
I received that over your life.
Yeah.
I want to receive it over mine too.
Go ahead.
I'm blessed and highly favored. I feel it. I totally feel it, bro.
Think about it. Probably everybody listening is.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about the ways you're being harmed right now.
You guys are blessed and highly favored.
You are. Don't let somebody tell you that you're the victim right now.
Yeah.
Somebody should hear that.
You're the victimizer. No, I'm kidding.
No, God made you to do something great, and he's doing it in you right now, and truly you're where you need to be right now with everything you need right now.
Yeah.
Every single one of you.
We declare that over your lives. That's another thing we could totally talk about, but I think I want to close up. Declaring things, and, words have power and everything.
Yeah. Just talk to Pastor Ron about that.
I think that's one of my favorite things about our church, about Grace Life, is that people honor each other. There's very positive. There's
big honor culture.
Yeah, and I think that's why everyone feels so motivated and a part of it, because, no one's going to honor you just because. They're honoring you because a lot of times you do things that people don't see, and when they do see it, they let you know that, we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's a big leadership thing. It's easy. It's easier leading whenever your experiences with leading volunteers, but people need to be known and needed.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll go into this way too far, so I'm going to keep it very succinct. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You meet their physical needs, and then you meet their psychological needs. Is that what it's called?
Mental?
Physiological needs and psychological needs.
Wow, pretty mystic.
And to be known and needed is like, it sums up a lot of it. So
Yeah.
that's the being known is honoring people. Like that's the very pragmatic view of it. Really, God calls us to honor.
Mm-hmm.
And Pastor Dan really pushes that culture, and he leads that culture. We honor up, we honor down, we honor all the way around.
All around. You got to do this spin. All around.
And it's a DNA
Yeah.
where I come from, and it's my job to be a representative of it,
Mm-hmm.
of Christ, not of Pastor Dan, but of Christ,
Right.
because he's the one who led that,
Yeah.
and he's the one who showed that everywhere I go as well.